Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 192 of Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project. My name is David Reed. Thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday. Brian J. Smith is joining us in this episode to bring us up to speed on what he's been up to and discuss something that you should be watching right now because it is very prescient, Class of '09 on Hulu. Before we bring him in, if you enjoy Stargate and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, please click that like button. It makes a difference with YouTube's algorithm and will continue to help the show grow its audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. And giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next few weeks on both the Dial the Gate and gateworld.net YouTube channels. As this is a live show, if you are in the YouTube chat, I have moderators in there, Tracy and Anthony today, and they will be looking for questions for Brian that I will then give him in the back half of the show. Brian J. Smith, First Lieutenant Matthew Scott of Stargate Universe, and currently Lennix on Class of '09. What is his position? He's not a director. What is he, Brian?
What was he? I think when it starts in the present storyline, I think he said he became an associate executive.
It's so winding and ridiculous.
Assistant, I mean, it's like the FBI has all of these crazy ranks, and I mean,
it's crazy.
I did look it up. I mean, we did go to Quantico, and we talked to a lot of FBI people. So I asked them, like, what is this position? What's going on? They're like, oh yeah, that's pretty high up there. You got pretty high up there. So that's all I know. Pretty high up.
Well, I want to talk about this show a fair bit. How are you? You were in Atlanta to shoot this? You're back in New York. How are things going? And what's going on for you right now?
It's great. Of course, we're in the middle of the WGA strike right now, and so things are a little bit weird, but there's actually a surprising amount of stuff that's filming these days. Just interesting. But back in the city, survived the wildfire smoke.
Oh, geez, man. Those photos were wild.
Yeah, it was really, there was one time I stepped outside when it was really in the thick of it, and I was like, wow, like I felt sick. Like it was so overwhelming, the smell. And just, you felt like off. So that was weird, but yeah, I did another mini series that, I'm hoping makes it to a streamer, near you. Who knows when? I have no idea how these things work. I just, memorized my lines and took the bags. But
I put in my days.
You know what I mean? That's way above my pay grade. And and the other big thing I've just been working on a documentary since we were planning it. I think when I talked to you last year, we were in like the very early stages of like pre-production, and filmed all summer of last year, pretty much, a good part of the fall, good part of the winter, and some early spring of this year. So we got about like 140 hours of footage.
Wow.
And, we are sort of in the process of turning all of that material into, a feature-length documentary film. And it's been awesome. It's been like the most fun I've ever had.
Okay. So what's the title and what's it about?
The title is A House Is Not a Disco, and it is a documentary that's like a year in the life of Fire Island Pines, which is this gay beach community off Great South Bay on Long Island that kind of became famous in the 70s. Went through a really dark time in the 80s with the AIDS crisis, and is sort of right now going through a very interesting rebirth and a renaissance. So yeah, we stayed out there kind of embedded in the community for a year, and we wanted to see what is it like to live and work and play in a totally queer, homonormative community. It's this little experiment in queerness, running a town, feeding a town, ruling a town, right?
So the whole community, okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's predominantly queer, but
Okay.
there are straight people that live out there, of course.
Okay.
It's like, it's the only place in the world that's really run by and for queer people. Really,
Okay.
It's the only one.
Okay. Wow. Now, are you on camera? Are you behind the camera?
Behind camera, yeah. So directing, producing.
You directed this.
I directed it. Yeah.
Congratulations. Wow, dude.
Which is an interesting thing. I mean, it's an interesting thing to direct a documentary because I actually feel like a lot of it really is just bringing in people who are interesting in front of the camera, and then sort of like maintaining and bringing together our crew and our production team, director of photography, our producer, our sound people. It's kind of keeping the ship just not sinking to the bottom. It's like, it's most of my job.
Well,
but yeah, it's been incredible. It's like actually probably the most like creatively fulfilling thing I've ever done.
What has this taught you personally and professionally?
Well, I mean, there's just this whole other side of my brain. I feel like that just it's not an appropriate side of the brain for an actor to ever use, that I like to use and I've never gotten to until now. I feel like it's I get to be conceptual and intellectual and thinking in terms of the big picture, right? Like acting, when it is going well, is like more like an athletic event. Like you're not thinking at all. You're just reacting to the ball, and you're trying to just be as, present as you possibly can be, which just really does not involve thinking at all. So yeah, I think this is something I would love to keep doing. I've got some other ideas for some other films to make, and yeah, it's been just wild, absolutely. But it's just totally the most fun I've had.
Do you have a distributor yet?
No, but we got, the way this thing works is the documentary production world is very, very, very interesting, and it's different than the narrative world, right? It's it's the Wild West. You're very much on your own in a lot of ways, and until you complete your film. So right now if we can get to a rough cut, that's the thing that we'll use to start shopping it around. And then hopefully you get a distributor like a streamer or a studio, to come on board and help you with the finishing costs and help you get it to festivals, and then it lands online somewhere. So, and hopefully somewhere good, like on a Showtime or an HBO.
Of course. Yeah. More eyeballs. How much more shooting do you think that you have, and before you get your first kind of locked cut? How far are you?
Well, we're pretty much done filming. There's just one other little thing I need to get to feel like I've sort of filmed everything I wanted to film, and I think are going to do that this summer. But it's right now it's just all about the edit. It's all about turning this hybrid mix of interviews, live action scenes, tons of beautiful B-roll, turning it into a film that takes the audience on a journey for like an hour and a half or so. And that's also for me been like a very fascinating process to, think about how you structure a film. These are things I've always thought about and that I've always wanted to play around with. And that, again, I think that there's oftentimes, if you're an actor, there's this like, oh, that's cute. How cute of you to want to do this. Go sit in your cast chair and we'll bring you a coffee. Be quiet, please. Because every actor wants to direct. I mean, come on. Every actor thinks that, I'm not being used. I'm not being utilized or whatever, So uh, so that's me doing that now, basically.
Of course, I mean, it's any. You ask, a handful of creative people, what do you want to do in your life, and so many of them will have, I've got this idea for a novel in the back of my head that they never get to, and I imagine for a lot of actors, it's shot at directing at some point, taking the reins and seeing what you're made of, seeing if you've got some metal and some scrap to you. So I'm thrilled to hear that you are doing this. This is really cool, and please keep me in the loop. Please keep us in the loop. We'd love to support it.
Absolutely. So. I will. I totally will. Yeah.
I have been watching, and some of them, I'm sure. Class of 09. 6 of the 8 episodes have aired. And I suspect that when it was shot, you guys didn't realize just how prescient it would be in terms of the advancement of technology and how much artificial intelligence has spooked us in the last 8 or 9 months. Tell us about this project and how, science fiction is quickly overtaking and becoming science fact.
Here we are. I mean, it's happening. We literally, when we were filming this a year ago, it would have been, I think we finished filming, I want to say in April, like late April, something like that. This discussion of AI was like not a thing. I mean, it was a thing. It was like a science fiction concept.
It was abstract.
Yeah. What if? And now, literally, it just like when ChatGPT hit the interwebs, it felt like everything started escalating really, really fast. And they're already, I was just reading, I think, in the Times, or maybe it was the New Yorker today, that this language learning model AI might have already started showing some kind of weird signs and impressions.
Depending on who you talk to,
right?
And there's going to be other people on the other side, just as many, who are saying, "Well, you're reading too much into it." But if it's already convincing people to kill themselves.
Eh?
Yeah, I'll send you the story. There's a couple of them to save the planet. If no. At what point? I mean, let me insert this, and then I'll let you get back to discussing the show. At what point does it make any difference what the nature of this creation of our genius really is, if we're killing ourselves already because of it? At the end of in the final analysis, what difference is it in terms of whether it's truly sentient or not? I think what matters is what we're doing with it. And I think what Class of 09, at the fundamental essence of what that is about, is what we're doing with the technologies that we've invented, what we're doing to each other. I'm sorry, but please, pray, continue. Jeez.
No, it's true. I mean, of course, like Class of 09, like really looks at AI through a very specific lens. It's really trying to explore, like, AI's role in national security and surveillance. So it's less about like these chatbots and stuff like that. It's got a lot more to do with, like, imagine there's a terrorist attack that happens in the States that's like so appalling, like so brazen, that it was launched by let's say a right-wing white supremacist sort of movement, which is we're probably getting close to something like that. If the technology existed to stop it, don't we have a responsibility to use that technology rather than just like, fussing and clutching our pearls about how bad the technology could be, right? That's like one of the major dilemmas, I think, that Class of 09 is. Oh, hi.
Who's
Are you
this?
helping? This is Pippa.
Can we meet Pippa?
Say hi.
Oh, hello,
What do you think?
Pippa. She can't hear me, but anyway, she's beautiful,
What is
Brian.
going on? Isn't she pretty?
She is.
Mwah.
Ah.
Sorry.
Let's take a step. Let's take a step back. People are like, people who haven't seen it. What is this? Can you tell us what Class of '09 is in its essence, and the 3 time periods and how the story is told?
Yeah, so at its core, Class of '09 is about a gifted, sort of extraordinary class of FBI recruits who start off in 2009, and it follows their relationship with each other and their relationship with the FBI over the course of like 3 decades. So you see them when they're like in their late 20s, early 30s, all the way up to when they're in their 50s. And it's, I've been telling people it's really about the way institutions change us, the institutions that we work within, our careers, how they mold us as the years pass, and also how we in turn change and should change some of the institutions that we are a part of, like the FBI.
It's been extraordinary to watch because, well, my favorite show of all time is Lost, and it effectively takes place at the end of the day in really 3 different time periods, and so much of the story is how it's told, not so much what it's told. And I'm watching this thing and seeing so much of, oh wow, I wonder how this is going to turn out, at the end of this thing. Oh, we're getting that in this episode because it's a fever pitch in terms of the velocity of the storytelling. Like, now that you've said, you've told me it's a limited series, it's 1 season period. Now I get it, because it doesn't miss a beat. Like, things that would lend themselves to a second or third or perhaps final season, we see right then and there. And so anyone who wants like a brisk story experience and like not having to wait around for the answers, this is one to watch. And the sci-fi premise in terms of AI and how we create tools and how they can run away from us is all there. And again, it's happening before our eyes.
Yeah. Also, to the drones, we definitely get into the way that the FBI could conceivably start using drones for security purposes in the future. It's something interesting to think about. That was, again, I feel like the Russia invasion of Ukraine happened while we were filming. I believe, that was like in the late winter, early spring, I think. And, it's just been interesting to see that the role that drones are now going to be playing in modern warfare, just going forward from now. So again, that was just something that was in the show, and we had no idea that would feel as prescient as it has now.
Who was the most rewarding to work with in front of the camera?
Oh man, I mean, I had so much of my work to do with Kate Mara, and that was a trip because I've been a big fan of hers. I mean, she's one of those actresses that you cannot believe, like, the movies that she's popped up in. And then I think people really got to know her through House of Cards.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And she's just really, really memorable. And I remember we had to do sort of like a chemistry read, but we did it over Zoom.
Oh man.
That was how a lot of that's still happening. Like, that's still like how like the industry is, casting things right now. Like, casting offices are a thing of the past, in general. And now people are doing most of the auditioning over Zoom, which is like this. It's just literally like this. Like, I saw Kate was there on the top of the screen. I was like seeing myself there on the bottom of the screen, and you're reading these words with this person trying to figure out, like, do we have chemistry or whatever. But she was great. She was like really just a trip to work. she's such like a leader too. I mean, she's a very the Kate Mara experience is also like who she is off camera, and she's strong and she's kind and compassionate and also like, not to be screwed with. Like she has a very, very finely tuned bullshit meter. And you better have it together or, she's just not gonna put up with it.
Okay.
She'll help if she can, but that's not to say that she's in any way, mean or mean-spirited or a bully or got anything. The absolute opposite. I can't tell you. She's one of those people that you so desperately want her to like you. And she's so eager and so generous with that likingness that she was just incredible. And also too, just to watch her work, the way that there's something, some people have this, and she's one of them, that like she actually becomes the most interesting version of herself when the camera turns on. And I've seen it happen a few times.
There's a switch that they flip. Yeah.
Yeah. She's even more confident.
Yeah.
And even more free somehow.
Interesting.
She would probably not agree with me if you asked her that, like she like my insides though, or I'm nervous and I'm, or, I don't know where that goes because you can't see it. She just,
yeah, but if you're delivering, what difference does it make? I mean, exactly. That's the thing. She has been great to watch. I have enjoyed her in this more than I have in House of Cards because I think that her toolbox has grown in terms of the things that she uses and deploys on screen. Exactly right. Absolutely. It's a little bit of everything. I was debating whether or not to utter this complaint on screen. Oh, but I'm gonna. Okay. Dude,
it's all right.
You by a considerable margin have had the least character development on screen, and it's pissed me off because of the four, and you may disagree, of the four, the three others have been explored to a considerable degree, and I'm like, I want more Brian. I want more of my friend.
I mean, thank you. I wish I could say that was like something that was like in the script, but no, I think it's very much, it was by design. There's such a thing as like foreground and background, right?
Yeah.
In a story. And obviously I think for me, the foreground elements, and I always knew this, like it's very apparent even when you read the scripts, right? That Kate is foreground, Brian Tyree is foreground. Those are the two major movers of the story. In some way, my character's there to illuminate certain things about Kate's character.
That's the truth.
Right. So it's and also to illuminate certain aspects of her relationship with Seppi's character. It's this kind of, little triangle here. So, you learn these things, right? And it's like, yeah, I got it. It'd be great if I could meet my parents.
Right. They're referenced several times. So
yeah, it'd be great if I, had like, certain beats where I could, but that, listen, I'm a jobbing actor.
Yeah.
I think some people kind of go in and they go, I'm going to rewrite this. I need more, blah, 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 blah. I don't.
You're not going to William Shatner it.
I get fired. I mean, we're not all, we can't all be like that, So I enjoy that. My job is always to try to help the writer and the director realize their dream for this piece of writing. And beyond that, it's just, not my place.
You're there to facilitate the documents, and make a great show. And the result, yeah, absolutely. I get it.
Also,
but I, as an audience member, I'm going to complain. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Look, it's totally valid, and it's these things that you are constantly, as a writer, I'm sure, trying to balance. It's like,
right.
Do I throw things out of whack if we get we know too much about this person. That's every time you do that, you have to take away a little bit from someone else,
Right.
So yeah.
We've got 2 episodes left. When everything is said and done, do you feel that this project will come away with more of a warning about the future? Are we going to be left with hope? Are we going to be left in ruins? What do you think? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know I haven't seen the last episode. I've actually only seen the first 5. I haven't even seen episode 6 yet.
Okay.
I feel like based on what I read, which I'm pretty sure is going to be like what, I can't imagine them changing the ending drastically from what we did. But man, without giving anything away, I think it's become clear after episode 5 that the story very much becomes about the effort to deal with the system from the inside, right? And I think that's kind of
we have kind of a Skynet situation on our hands at this point.
A Skynet
situation on our hands at this point, yeah.
What is Skynet? What is that?
Terminator. The infrastructure that gives birth to these robotic machines that take over the Earth.
Oh, interesting. Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I think it becomes about what responsibility do people have that are on the inside of these institutions to deal with or try to fix these threats as they arise.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it resolves. And it's available on Hulu, and I think I've enjoyed watching it. There's a lot more than what we've just said. I think the things that have really hit me the hardest are like the implications of how we as a society change across time. One of my favorite scenes was when they were in the Tesla, and the girls were considered suspects by the system just because Kate had manual control of the car. And we can see where that's going. Like, once that technology becomes ubiquitous, people of that era are going to be like, why would you dare endanger other people by having manual control of a 2-ton piece of metal? Why? Are you that important? So we can see where that goes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. There's all these like little interesting things that they put in about the future, about like I think it's like what 20
was it 2034? Yeah, 2034.
Right. The idea that once we start having self-driving cars that are reliably safe, not only like you said, the prospect of driving a car would just be ridiculous. You're also allowing the state the possibility of taking over your car.
Absolutely. You give them a good enough excuse, absolutely they're going to. So,
and it's that sort of conundrum of it, right? Like, do you want to live in a world that is in a country that is so safe that you don't even have to have a gate up around the White House anymore? Do you want to live in a country that is so safe that you don't have to worry about mass shootings anymore, right? Well, if you want that, you're going to have to live in a country that has a absolutely authoritarian statist surveillance system in place to stop people from potentially committing crimes. Like that's the solution. So,
right.
Do you want that or do you not? And that's
right.
One of the major dilemmas of the story.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I want it as long as my guy is involved, but then, when an election changes, and then those tools become available to another guy, it's like you really have to take the long view in a lot of these situations. It's like, okay, what is it that we've given birth to that you have to explore all the options? Okay, we've created this. Now, what can it potentially do? And I get nervous around people who are like, can never be designed to do that. That's not possible. Why the heck not? If the system is in place. So it's a wild show, man, and I'm glad that you're a part of it, and it's been great to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends.
Yeah, me too. Like me too. I'm sure it'll be great. You know, I do remember it's also because you're not just ending the future story lines too. You're also ending. I do believe like when you get to the last episode, you're also ending the present storyline, and you're also ending the past storyline as well. So it's like each of these things all sort of come together.
Mm-hmm. The three different peaks of their lives. They're graduating from school. You know, did you film? How much of filming was done at Quantico? Was any filming done at Quantico?
No filming was at Quantico. We found there's a couple buildings in Atlanta that sort of had that same red brick 19 late 80s sort of structure that they do have at Quantico. So
you guys rebuilt Hogan's Alley. You rebuilt all of it.
Hogan's Alley was a what was that set? Where was that?
Looks like a small town square.
It was a small town square. Yeah, it was like this little like fairy tale town square. Like it was about like 2 hours, I think, outside of Atlanta.
Okay.
Very, very interesting place. But and we actually did go to Quantico and see the actual Hogan's Alley, which was just absolutely fascinating. And they had every conceivable model of home, with different stair situations, mobile homes, kitchen configurations. We actually got to watch a scenario play out.
Wow.
Where we were inside the house, just pretending like we weren't there, and there's someone in the house, and the two trainees, FBI trainees, had to come in and deal with an interview. That they had some questions for someone at the house, and then something pretty crazy happens, and they have to figure out how to react to it. And you can see how fast things really can get out of control, and how just constantly alert and present these folks have to be in these situations, because it can change in a millisecond.
It's like law enforcement. They're not allowed to have a bad day. Law enforcement, caregivers, a couple others. We put these people in impossible situations. And expect superhuman, qualities from them. And, that's
the AI. We expect them to be like AI. We expect them to have the super absolute prescience and 0% of, failure rate as the machine would have. Right. And then that's the point of AI then, so if that's what we want, wouldn't you want to have that if you could guarantee that no one will be wrongly shot, or no one will be, that some kind of situation won't be misunderstood and get out of hand? Wouldn't you want that? It's a conundrum. We don't solve it. You can't really solve it.
No, that you're supposed to ask the questions though. Teo's arc is really his wife, comes under attack. She's assaulted on her front doorstep, and it's like you completely understand why these people have come the direction that they've come, and but I think we're even beginning to watch, in terms of the episodes that have been released, his transformation. That if I want to turn this thing off, can I? We've seen how far it can go. You can have absolute safety, but at what cost? How much of humanity have you surrendered to this system? So it's I think a perfectly applicable story for our times.
It's also really interesting, Teo's character being like African American, right? And having seen how bad corrupt cops and racist cops can be. We know that they're not like the majority. We know that they're
but they exist.
And he had an encounter with one of them, and as a child, right? And it's interesting that encounter is the thing that inspired him to want to actually take human error out of the equation when it comes to law enforcement. Totally, right? That it's those things like when law enforcement makes mistakes, we as a public go, we don't want those mistakes. We need to erase them and the possibility that they exist. If you want that to happen, you have to give the system up to machines. You have to give the system up to AI. And what do you give up when you do that? Right? These are the ethical conundrums we're in right now. We have to ask these questions. We have to figure out what the hell we're doing. Like right now, we're not doing that. We're just like careening toward this escalation.
Oh yeah.
Where these companies are trying to outdo each other to get to like,
what can we make?
Yeah. And the military wants to know too. Of course, the military has a vested interest in having AI robot soldiers. They're already looking into it, and I don't know, man. It's what times we live in.
Yeah, the Boston Dynamics dogs. We're already using them in the field to help carry our equipment. You arm these things, you get them running fast enough, they can take out a human. So it's just wild stuff. May you live in interesting times. So
yes,
right. I never asked you when you guys were filming Air, your trip to White Sands, New Mexico, one of my favorite places on the earth. What was that experience like out there on the dunes?
Hot.
Yeah. So there was no acting involved in that.
Oh, it was so hot. But the sand was like cold.
Yes.
Cold to the touch, right?
Yep.
It's like that white sand's completely reflective. So there was no heat absorbing at all. Very bizarre. Yeah. That was so cool. That was like one of those moments where you're just looking around at all, getting on a helicopter with a camera crew, getting dropped off like a mile outside of base camp and being filmed, with nobody else. I remember they dropped me off in the middle of that desert with like a radio and some water and said, all right, just walk this way. We're going to have the helicopter come around and follow you. Of course, these days you do that with your drones, right? But back then, when we were doing SGU, all those aerials had to be filmed with a camera-mounted helicopter, and we don't do that anymore.
No. Well, in this case, you can be dropped off and leave no footprints. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's the production value that was poured into that show, even by today's standards, is just staggering.
Yeah.
Yes.
They really put a lot of money into making it look super, super, super high end and super, super, super top shelf. And man, they did a great job. I mean, I haven't seen it actually in a while. I should go back and watch it. Every once in a while, it's kind of fun to go back and look at your younger self,
Of course.
Be aghast. But
Alaina came on, and a few days later, oh gosh, her spaniels are just gorgeous. And I didn't realize that she had also had gotten one or two, like when you got Cassie.
That's right.
But
that's right.
She was, a couple of days after she had come on, she posted online that she was rewatching the show, and she was like, yeah, I knew it was good, but this is good. This is a great experience, and I'd be interested to hear your take on the show.
I think it's probably one of those shows that, I even felt this like a little bit with Sense8. Like, I remember when Sense8 came out, everybody was just kind of like, what the hell is this? Stupid. The critics, didn't like it. Like people were just kind of like, the present day reaction to it was very negative.
Wachowskis are on another wavelength. You have to get them. You have to be in their space, or you're not going to get it. So,
but then you go back and you look at like Rotten Tomatoes now for Sense8, and it's like, you wouldn't know that was the initial reaction at all. And like a lot of those reviewers, I shit you not, like this is why I just like roll my eyes at critics. It's like they went back and recanted their negative reviews. And it's like really interesting, right? And I'm not saying that people get things wrong, but it's just funny how our ability to watch things freshly and I don't know, kindly. We may not have the ability to do that in the moment. And I think that it was probably the same thing with SGU. I mean, we were always in the shadow of the franchise.
And Atlantis.
People wanted, like just understandably wanted the thing that they were being given for decades, and, so I think that now with a little bit of time, I think the people that will find SGU as its own sort of thing, I think will probably appreciate it in a way that they wouldn't have been given the chance to with all that negative feedback in the air that was happening when we first came out.
What friendships from that era have really withstood the test of time for you?
Oh gosh, I mean, I would say all of. I mean, it's I haven't seen any of them for a while. I mean, David Blue, of course, but he lives in LA. I live in New York. It's difficult to to meet up. But anytime I've been in LA, I've made sure to go see him and say hi, and we hang out. Just David's the best. He's so sweet, and all of them. I there's not a single person on that cast that if I just wouldn't jump at the chance to see them if they were around and wanted to say hi. It was a very special experience. It was very sweet. It was a very sweet experience. Like I get this little nostalgic feeling when I look back on it, right? We had a great time, and it was a great time for me too at that point in my life. It was just a great, it came right when I needed it to, and it gave me a lot of confidence, and it taught me a lot of stuff. I have nothing but great vibes when I think about SGU.
Lockwasher wants to know about your first day on set.
On SGU?
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
SGU, my first... No, my gosh. First day filming, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember what my first day filming was. I think we might have been like doing the exterior of the Icarus base when it gets attacked by the bad guys, right? And we're like on a cliff, and there's this big gun, right? There was like a scene that took place when we all kind of meet each other for the first time there, and I think that was my first day. And I was terrified. I was nervous. I'd never been on a TV show like that before. I knew that there's a lot of money had been spent, and of course you're
right.
You're there and you're thinking like, oh my God, like I hope I don't get fired. And, are they sure that they didn't mix my headshot up accidentally with the person that they really wanted to cast in this? Like you really do think about those things. Believe it or not. Yeah. Oh, but it was so thrilling. And we were at Bridge Studios there. Right. And Vancouver. And that was just a fantastic place to work. It felt like going, it felt like our family. Yeah, God, I'm now it's all these memories just kind of washing over me. It was, what can I say? It was just magical.
What about your last day?
Oh, last day. I remember we filmed a scene. We might have filmed I think we did film, for those of us who did go back into the pods, we did film those last, I think.
Were those done after the Thanksgiving scene?
No.
The Thanksgiving scene. I love that scene.
Is that when we're all like around the table? Yeah, that was our last day all together. For sure. I don't know if that was like my last day on set specifically, but that was the last time that we were all together. And, we didn't know at that point if we were coming back or not. We didn't find out until I think a couple months later that the show wasn't coming back. So at that point, there was still a little bit of hope, right? But I think we knew at that the ratings, the show was airing already at that point. The ratings were, not stellar by any metric. So it did feel like a goodbye, and it did feel like we got to have a little bit of a goodbye. A little bit. It would have been nice, of course, to maybe have one more, season or something to round the thing out. But hey, that's life in the circus.
Exactly right. Where do I stand? What do I say? Okay. General Maximus. You're starting a new series, 15 seasons of established story and mythology. How much did you have to fight off the knowledge that you were coming into this established machine? Did you spend a lot of time just focusing on starting something fresh with a clean slate, or did none of that occur at all, and you were just there to shoot your day?
Yeah, it didn't. I really didn't know anything at all about. I went and watched some other episodes from the franchise just to the feel. The feel of what was done before, but we were so clearly doing something that was so much different that it was a different show. Let's be honest, it was a different show. It was not, so to answer your question, no, I was totally blissfully ignorant coming in of any kind of expectations around us in relation to the rest of the franchise. We just had so many. It was such a big undertaking. It was a massive production, with a lot of elements in it, and we were just wanting to do the best job that we could possibly do, as you normally do. So wasn't until later that I kind of realized oh shoot, wow, there's a existing fan base, and they just, I hadn't even thought of it. I really hadn't even considered it.
Jamie Hunter wanted to know, were you given any hints about the future of the show beyond what you guys had shot?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think that they were pretty. I do think that obviously those guys always know, right? They've got their beat sheets and treatments of what they want to do next season. They're thinking about that stuff as they write the season that they're in always, right? So I don't really, I would be interested in knowing. And it's interesting that we don't know. It's so funny, in shows like this and franchise shows, there's always just this little, they don't want to completely let go. They don't want to completely, and I mean the creators and the people that are in it. There's always little space. Will we come back in 30 years? For
things happen,
or something like that.
Yeah.
But you never count on it. You never expect it. It could. Who knows? I've certainly never been approached by. I know that they're going to start doing other Stargate things, right? They are going to start doing other Stargate shows.
Amazon's tinkering right now with something. How concrete it is a question for deliberation. But there is certainly that aspect. And Philippe Canat wanted to know, and I think we've asked you this before. How willing would you be to jump back in?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Absolutely.
I'm game. I'm like Nike, just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Teresa MC, would you step through the Stargate, or would you want to stay Earthside?
Man, I don't know. I think I would. I mean, if you really it sounds kind of cool, but if I really think about it, and I was really in my room right now, there was a Stargate, and the idea that I was going to sort of be dematerialized and thrust through a wormhole, so it would be it'd be like bungee jumping,
right?
You'd probably have that same feeling of you're standing over, you're about to jump into this overwhelmingly terrifying situation. I would imagine that's actually the same thing, feeling of going into a Stargate, the reality of it be I don't know.
Absolutely. No, it's you, some of those situations you can't really tell how you'd respond unless you were faced with it. It's like, okay, so this is a reality here. So what am I going to do? Well, let's let a few thousand people go first, and then I'll think about it. Let's see what the survival rate is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys gotta let me know how it is.
Right, exactly. Red Faction, does that ring a bell to you?
Oh, Red Faction, yeah.
I remember Mac Bolan's Conscience. I remember the Red Faction movie. How did you like the movie? And would you act in more movies based on video games like Warhammer?
Yeah, that was I remember like this was like kind of this was a while ago.
Okay.
But there was like this whole thing of like making movies that are based on these video game franchises, and Red Faction, they were trying to maybe feel that out. It's a pretty rich universe, and that was a tough one. I mean, we were filming in Bulgaria in the middle of the winter in a studio that like wasn't like heated or like properly outfitted to have production in it, frankly, at all. I mean, it was wild. I mean, like literally you'd be walking and like pieces of the set would be falling off like right next to you, and like something would fall out of the ceiling. I mean, it was like it was just it was absurd. But actually, I mean, Michael Nankin directed that, who was like really one of the great directors from the Battlestar Galactica reboot universe. One of like the best directors I've actually ever worked with. He was in that was a really great experience working on it. Like did like watching the movie, like, is it like a great movie? Like, oh God, no. But again, I mean, considering that, like, like they gave Michael like $5
right
duct tape.
Look at what he made with
thing off.
Yeah.
And like in Bulgaria, which is not an easy place to film, right? For a lot of reasons. The fact that he pulled it off and he got it together like on time and on budget was a victory,
Wow. Dude, it is so awesome to catch up with you as always, and to watch your career continue to evolve, and the person that you are continue to evolve. Tracy wanted to know, what is a piece of advice that you have received and found helpful that you would want to pass on to others?
Oh man,
I know.
Well, no, relax and enjoy the dance. I mean, life isn't all of this is, we're I don't know. I maybe this is just like getting older, I'm not that old, but like you get older, you get a little wiser, and I know I'm a lot less thinking in terms of like targets, and like goals and ambitions and trying to get there, and only being happy if I get there, and being a little bit more like what is the process? Like let me enjoy. You get one life, as far as we know. Even if you believe it in, like the Catholic Church and, Muhammad and all this stuff, right? As far as we know, this is like it in terms of like what this is. So, if this is all you got, like in all of eternity, just like enjoy the ride, enjoy the process of it, enjoy the people you meet. You're going to be on your own path. I don't know if that means you're going to get rich, you're going to get famous. If you're not, man, your life is a gift. Your health is a gift. And, and I think the other one is like happiness is a choice. Like it really is a choice. I've seen people be happy in situations that would appall a lot of us. And it's a state of mind that you cultivate, and it's a practice. And that's become more and more apparent to me the older I've got.
Yeah, not to be ignorant of change or injustice or anything else, but you can still be happy, and still fight for change. So
exactly,
absolutely.
Yeah. And happy people are affected people. Like the miserable people, are not really that effective. I mean, if you think about like if someone like starts insulting you on the street, and you start getting like really nervous and like tight and like, indignant, you can't think. You can't really respond. You can't, you know what I mean? But like, if you're just like relaxed and chill and just sort of like enjoying your life, you're like, hey, man, that's great. You know what I mean? Like that's, and oddly enough, that's a lot more aggravating I think for people.
Well, it is, because you're attaining something that they see that they're not getting to you. So,
but it's like, you got to be really vigilant. Like your peace of mind, you have to like, it's like this thing you have to balance and be very, very constantly engaged in. Otherwise, it's just so easy to get thrown off balance and end up doing something so stupid on a bad day, saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, and doing it on camera, because we've all got these things right now. It can ruin your life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in our best interests to like just learn to be like moment by moment happy.
I will Uber sometimes and for some extra cash. And
I think you like riding it in an Uber.
No. I will drive. I will drive for Uber, and and we're stuck in traffic, and people are like, "How do you deal with this?" And they're always surprised when I say, you got to find the cord in your brain that's bothered by it and cut it. And some of them are like, "Oh yeah." And there's some who are like, "Oh, I could never do that," And it's like, why? Why could you never do that? What's leading you to say that? Some part of you must be enjoying this. Give yourself permission to let go from wanting to fight. I'm being paid to sit here. And
if you think about it, I always think about it like in those situations, like, where are you going? Like, where are you really going?
Existentially?
Like what? Like, you gotta go drop the person off, or you gotta make it to this meeting on time. But like, if you don't, where are you really going? And this is about your life, and it's about the place that you're really going. You hope is to show up and to be to like share love and to receive love. Like that's what you're here to do. So you can do that in traffic, and you can do that when you're late, and you can do that when everyone else around you is going nuts. And it's really powerful. I've seen people do it. I've seen some people being able to like hold on to that in really stressful situations. And it's the most beautiful, life affirming, powerful thing to see.
Make good ripples. It's your choice.
Make good ripples. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Brian, I thank you so much for coming on, and congratulations again with Class of '09 and with your documentary. And please stay in touch.
I will. Same.
All right, brother.
I'll let you know how the documentary is going.
Please.
Probably we're a while away. It could be at least a year, but we're on it.
Well,
I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, these things have a process, so we'll do whatever we can to help fuel it. When we get closer, I'd like to at least get a clip of it and have you back so we can discuss it. So
yeah, I would love that. That would be awesome.
All right, pal. Appreciate your time. I'm going to go ahead and close out the show on this side.
All right, thanks, David. Bye.
You take care of yourself. Brian J. Smith, everyone. Lieutenant Matthew Scott on Stargate Universe. A couple of questions for me. How was your trip? So I just got back from LA. I spent a month out there editing my first feature film. And so that's done. And I can't yet announce the movie, but it was the director's cut of a feature. And I reconstructed about 30% of the picture. It is a comedy because, you look at me and you think, oh, man, he's so funny. And I'm really proud of it. So as we get more information, I'll let everyone know. Alien World Airsoft Stargate question. I'm making an Airsoft Stargate loadout. I have a P90, but what is the sidearm I should get? Dial the gate. I don't know, but the person who does is Stitches Loft. And so you're going to want to go over to stitchesloft.com. I have that on the screen right here. All right, folks, that's everything that I have for you. We're going to be moving on with Wormhole Extremists this afternoon. A lot of episodes are coming up on dialthegate.com as we move closer to our 200th episode. So visit dialthegate.com and see the complete list. We're going to get rolling. Thanks so much for Tracy and Anthony for moderating today. thanks again for Brian for coming on. Always great to have him. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate, and we'll see you on the other side.